8 Big Takeaways from Donald Glover's Surprise Collection of New Music. The aisles of grocery stores are barren. All major concerts and sporting events are cancelled. The stock market is crashing. Citizens across the world have been encouraged to stay inside. Thousands of people are dying. Even America's dad has tested positive for a deadly virus that's now responsible for a worldwide crisis. But in the middle of these bleak, unprecedented times, one thing that we can stay positive about is new music. In the past 48 hours alone, we've been blessed with a second collection of songs from Lil Uzi Vert in as many weeks, an exceptional debut album from Don Toliver, Jay Electronica's long-fabled debut album, featuring Jay-Z, and more. As if that wasn't enough, Donald Glover returned in the very early hours of Sunday with a surprise new project that streamed in a loop on his new website, DonaldGloverPresents.com, until it mysteriously disappeared later in the evening. As of now, the project has no title, although some have pointed out that Donald Glover Presents is also the name given to his Adidas partnership. It appears to consist of 12 tracks, including guest features from 21 Savage, SZA, and Ariana Grande. Without further ado, let's get into it. As with everything Donald Glover creates, whether from his childish Gambino persona or not, this one will take more than just one day to completely unpack, so we'll do that in the coming weeks. But for now, I wrote down some initial thoughts after a few spins. Here are 8 big takeaways from Donald Glover's surprise collection of new music. Note, all song titles referenced below are placeholder names being commonly used by fans until an official track list is revealed. Timing is everything. The context that surrounds an album always influences the way it's received by listeners, and there's no doubt in my mind that Donald Glover was intentional about sharing this collection of music exactly when he did. In the midst of a global pandemic, he chose to present these songs alongside hand-drawn artwork depicting society in the throes of hysteria. And although it's likely that most of this music was recorded long before words like COVID-19 and social distancing were inescapable, these songs reflect the chaotic, unpredictable feeling of the day. One moment, Donald delivers sweet, sunny melodies on Sweet Thing, Thank You, before things turn apocalyptic on Algorithm, where he growls over dystopian electronic production, humans don't understand, humans gon' sell a lie / cause humans gotta survive, we know we gon' die. Even though it's probably been on a hard drive somewhere for months, for years, Donald had to have known this line would hit different right now. Why go to the party / why go to the party / why go to the party at all? He's always had an anxious perspective on the future of humanity, and this comes through vividly on a song like Time where he sings, 7 billion people / trying to free themselves / said a billion prayers / trying to save myself / I can see it coming / but it's moving fast. Can you think of a better refrain for March, 2020? It's still unclear exactly what the plan was behind the release of this music, but it feels like Donald was sitting on music that he realized was naturally aligned with the tone of a global pandemic, and decided to share it with the world. With the recent news that the third season of Atlanta has been put on hold due to coronavirus outbreak concerns, we know Donald is feeling first-hand anxiety from this pandemic. It wouldn't be a stretch to think he handpicked a collection of unreleased songs from his stash, with the specific goal of soundtracking a moment like this. It was unveiled as a collective experience. Instead of uploading these songs to traditional streaming platforms, Donald chose to share them in one continuous loop on his website until Sunday evening. When listeners arrived at the site, they were plunged into the middle of a stream, wherever it happened to be at the time, with no knowledge of where they were in the track list. There were no song titles, no credits, no explanations at all. Not only was this a unique, refreshing way to experience music in 2020, completely void of context, it also acted as a unifying way to hear an album for the first time. No matter where you were in the world, you were hearing the same song at the same time as everyone else who was tapped in. Considering the fact that everyone is similarly unified by the same life experiences right now, being locked down in isolation, this feels like a deliberate choice from an artist who has a fondness for experimental, collective listening events. Remember Feroz? This is the beginning of the Donald Glover era. A couple years ago, Donald Glover kept telling everyone he was planning on retiring Childish Gambino. Now, it seems that may have just happened, considering this project was shared as Donald Glover Presents, without any mention of his Childish Gambino alias. After listening to this music, which is stylistically miles away from the rap-centric material he was making when he used a Wu-Tang Clan name generator to come up with Childish Gambino, this decision makes a lot of sense. Donald isn't the same artist as he was back then. Gone are the days of the punchline raps we heard all over camp. Now, he wants to sing. He'd rather make genre-defying, melodic music than stick to just one style. Fortunately for fans, it seems a complete retirement from music isn't imminent. Instead, it's the beginning of a new era, the Donald Glover era. Donald's evolution continues. Donald Glover took a sharp stylistic left turn on his 2016 album, Awaken, My Love, which veered away from his hip-hop origins in favor of R&B, psychedelic soul, and funk. On this new collection of music, he continues that evolution. Here, Donald leans even harder into his R&B influences, but this time, he's a little more in line with 2020 pop music. Where Awaken, My Love, was criticized by some as being a pastiche of bygone eras, these songs feel more fresh. This time, he injects his influences with distinctly modern furnishings, playing with forward-thinking electronic production techniques, vocal effects, and contemporary songwriting methods. And the addition of guest vocals from 21 Savage, Ariana Grande, and SZA doesn't hurt to make this thing feel more current. After being overshadowed by his influences the last time around, Donald is now coming into his own and bending these sounds into a form of his own making. The evolution of Donald Glover just took another step forward. Donald is forever experimenting, but now more effective. Whether it's writing surreal storylines on Atlanta or dramatically switching genres without warning, Donald Glover has always liked experimenting, a tendency that isn't lost with these new songs. Midway through the opening track, or at least what's being commonly referred to as the opener, Warlords, he hits us over the head with jarring electronic production and nearly indecipherable lyrics, creating an unsettling mood. It's as if he's telling fans, if you were expecting an album full of straightforward pop songs after the release of Summertime Magic and Feels Like Summer, think again. I'm still going to fuck with you a little. But unlike some of his experimental moments in the past, think Riot he's figuring out how to execute on these ideas in a more effective way. The moments of experimentalism feel more intentional now. On songs like Algorithm, he deliberately makes use of an abrasive electronic beat to convey a feeling of paranoia and unrest. Alternatively, a cut like Sweet Thing, Thank You takes on a calming, euphoric feeling thanks to a kaleidoscope of diverging sounds. Either way he takes it, the experiment works.